My name is Toby Tobias. I'm a South African-born musician living in Huntington Station. I've been living in America now for 31 years. And as I like to tell people, even though I have a different accent, I'm very much a Long Islander. Very proud of of where I stay. Living, as I mentioned, in Huntington Station. Very diverse community, different ethnicities, different cultures, different religions, and everyone seems to get along very, very well. I have two sisters who both live in North America, one in Vancouver, Canada. Her name is Nadine. And I have a sister who lives in Southern California, and her name is Karen. And we are a very, very close family, and we are in contact about each other's lives literally on a day-by-day basis. So I am very grateful to have a beautiful family, close family. I also have 3 sons, all of whom have wives or very close girlfriends. And I also have a beautiful girlfriend. Her name is Janice Lester, in whose house I live, I might add. And life is taking its course. I'm enjoying who I am and where I'm going, and I enjoy the beautiful community that I belong to here in the Huntington area. I hope I'm not blabbing too much.
No, not at all. Thank you, Toby. So usually I decide, a couple of minutes before what the talk will be about, and nothing was coming very clearly to me. I asked you to join us because you always have exuded this sense of positivity. As I said when we spoke, you always make me smile when I see your videos online. So I want to leave it open to you. And if that's too much pressure, we'll come up with something. But is there something that you'd like to speak about today?
I don't know about, there's no stronger topic that I've started to speak about a lot more and started to think about a lot more. I've kind of made myself much more aware of how our fear of people has really started to take root in our communities and our societies. Specifically, how racism has really become a really sad state of affairs on Long Island, in New York, in America in general. And I started to become a lot more, let's say, I'd like to become a lot more vocal about the effects of racism on our society. And at the end of the day, I realize that it's all based upon fear, that we live in fear of each other, that we live in fear of each other's culture, background, and religion. And that fear comes from not being knowledgeable about people's backgrounds and culture. If we knew a lot more about each other, if we were able to open up our hearts and our minds, then and reach out to people who are not the same as us, then we will realize that we're all the same, that it makes no difference whether you're black or white, Jewish or Christian, Muslim, that we have to break down those barriers of racism and start to connect with people who are not the same as us. And in that way, we'll be able to build a world where we can all be together, live together, help each other, raise each other up. And I hope that this virus, this situation, will make people start to realize that really we are all the same, and that we should start to work with each other to build each other up. to do the right thing. You know, Isabel, I've started. I'm realizing more and more each day. By the way, please step in if you would like to interject. But I'm starting to realize more and more how everyone is the same. That it makes no difference who you are or where you come from. We're all part. I have a song. It's called Black or White, and one of the lyrics goes, we're all part of the same human family. I mean, don't you all see that? Don't we all understand that we're all part of this human family, that we all breathe the same air, eat the same food. We all have the same human desires. And if we're not able to live with each other, that's a sad and sorry state of affairs.
Thank you for that, Toby. Yeah. And can you tell us a bit about how, you're being born in South Africa, sort of how did that infuse into, who you are and your perspectives of the world?
That is a very difficult subject for me to talk about, really, because there's so much to talk about my growing up in apartheid era South Africa. I hardly mixed with people of other races. I grew up Jewish in Johannesburg. I went to a Jewish day school. Most of my friends were Jewish. We lived in a ghetto with swimming pools and tennis courts and sauna baths with high walls. But it was a beautiful upbringing. It took me a while to understand in my teens, when I looked around and I saw what was going on, that I finally realized this is an injustice. What is taking place is robbing people of their individuality, their freedom. And I could not continue to live in South Africa past the age of 18. There were a number of other circumstances that forced me, in a way, to leave South Africa. But I also understood at that age that things were wrong there and things needed to change. It has informed my life in numerous ways. A lot of my music and my lyrics are devoted to letting people know how we all should be living as one, no matter what your background or ethnicity is. I went so far as to write a show called Journey from Johannesburg, where I talk about my growing up in South Africa, coming face to face as a privileged white South African Jew, but coming face to face with the horrors of apartheid. Seeing it through my eyes has made me even realize even more the total stupidity, if you will, of living apart. And I mean, if I think about it, how difficult I'm at a loss for words often about how human beings keep other human beings down. But I saw it in such stark ways. And then I come to America and I see the same things happening here. I see the same things happening in many parts of the world, where people view it as their right, in a way, to subjugate other populations and to keep all the marbles for themselves, whether it be education, wealth. The starkest the starkest way to describe that is how populations of people of color are kept out of the real estate market here in on Long Island. I hope you don't mind me getting into these details. And I am totally amazed how we are living in segregated societies today. I mean, if you look around and you see these neighborhoods where only Black people live, and only white people, and only Jews, and this group of people don't want that group of people to come and live next to them because the prices of their houses are going down. You know, I'm looking around and I'm saying, you know, makes the difference if that person is a person of color, but has all the financial and educational background to allow him to live in that house. But just because he's Black, he's not allowed to live in that house, or he'll be steered towards an area where he will be able to live in a warm and comfortable life. But why shouldn't his family be allowed to live in an area that he has the ability to live in? He has the money, he has the educational background. Anyway, you know, I'm not too articulate in these matters, but I feel that things are wrong here, and that people are scared. Our community are not bold enough to come out and say things are wrong. We can change this. You know, I saw I belong to one of these groups here on the North Shore, and somebody posted some social media post that said he went into a deli the other day, and you know, he was ordering some lunch, a bagel or a sandwich, and he saw 4 people who weren't wearing masks congregating by the counter. He described them as these 4 Hispanic men were not wearing masks. And I was totally amazed at how he can just, he deliberately, in a way, but without knowing really, just it was a racist comment. And when we raised that with him, he said, how is it racist? So what it leads me to believe is that it's inherent in us. It's what we learned at the supper table when we were growing up. It's what we learned from our uncles around the barbecue, telling us how one group is favored over the other. And so it's part of our education, our growing up. Why would he say, here are 4 Hispanic men? What happened if 4 Irish men were standing on the side there? Would he say, here are 4 Irish men who don't have masks? Why did he need to tell us that they were 4 Hispanic men? It's just these small events in our everyday today life, in our society, where people don't even realize they're being segregationist or being racist. But it's so part of our DNA that we just think that it's a natural way to live our lives. We have to change that. We have to be bold, Isabel, to let people know that that racism cannot continue if we want to all live together.
No.
So as you can see, go ahead.
No, thank you. I was going to ask you, what would you say, right, I think when we think about something like racism, it feels so overwhelming for the ordinary person that's sitting, you know, in their house, and they're thinking, well, what can I do about it? So what would you say to that individual, you know, who's just going about their lives and just trying to, you know, make ends meet? How can they contribute? What can they do to contribute to change?
I think what we need to do as a society, as a community, is that we need to reach out to people who are not the same as us. We need to let them know that we want to learn about them. We want to learn about their culture, and we want them to learn about us. I have hardly any friends of people of color. I have just about no Hispanic friends.
Got one here.
Well, yes, but I'm talking about yes, of course. I don't think that our society is geared, our community is geared for bringing people together. We all want to live and be amongst those people who are safe and comfortable and who are part of our culture and our background. But if we are not reaching out to other people in just small ways and inviting them into our community and into our realm, then we are going to continue on this path of not being knowledgeable about how other people live their lives. And when something happens in their community that is not known to us, that perhaps is not, if something happens that shows us that we don't really understand what is taking place in that community, then we'll point fingers at them and we will talk about them in disparaging ways because we don't understand where they're coming from, what their community is all about. So the first thing that I would suggest people do is to maybe learn another language, maybe reach out to them and go and start some type of conversation with people who are not the same as you. You know, I don't know if you've ever heard that saying, 50% of the world is waiting for the other 50% to say hello. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
That's where it really starts. About reaching out and saying, well, we can't shake hands, but we can elbow bump, I think. Maybe that's the new normal. To connect with people who are not the same as us, and to do it on a constant basis, to form groups of bringing people together, of bringing people of color together into your community. That's where it will start. That is how we learn to connect with each other.
Thank you so much, Toby. You've given us a lot of food for thought, and I think, you know, it's just, you know, part of who you are, at least how you see it. It's like you're always inclusive. When I've been either to your events or seeing you in groups, you know, that inclusivity, I think, is just a constant part of how you engage with, you know, small groups or the world in general. So I thank you for that, and I look forward to hearing from you and voicing your opinions in different places and events. Maybe this is the beginning of something bigger.
Isabel, it's always a pleasure to hear you and to be in your company. And I really think this is a very cool way of engaging people and letting them speak their minds. So yeah, I think that this is really a great way of connecting people to other people. I think that might be your motive over here.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Toby.
Thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.